With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you chose toilets to titles. We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, a plan for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start 'em and sit 'em, keep 'em or quit 'em. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions? Just tell us. From Nate's cousin Eddie persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a...
All right, welcome back to Toilets and Titles. My name is Justin Stevens, and we're here for another mini mock episode. This is episode 236. Again, we thank you for tuning in. That was our jingle version of the song, kind of a slow, mellow way to bring us in this time because had kind of one of those days, gentlemen. So first day with the kids in class tomorrow. So today was all meetings and no productivity. And so pretty exhausted. Going to feel good to get some sleep tonight, get up early tomorrow, and finally get these kids in the classroom. It's been a couple of years, a few years at least, since I've been in the classroom with kids. I'm looking forward to it. So Mark, man, we are talking AFC West and your NFC West tonight, doing this mini mock, only drafting AFC and NFC West. But how was your week this week, my friend?
This week is dragging. The only thing I have on my mind is Canton. I can't wait. I'm just all day at work. I'm just like, can we get this over with?
Canton, what's going on in Canton?
There's some kind of like fantasy football expo or something going on. I don't know.
It's kind of all over X, but one guy that's not necessarily looking forward to Canton is Nate, man. Another year down, man. One of these days, we're gonna have to come over there to Illinois and bag you up and kidnap you and drag you to Canton, Ohio.
I was actually just talking to a friend of mine the other day about like the Hall of Fame and everything. Like, I just need, I got to get out there. I don't have a lot of vacation currently. That's like the one thing I get frustrated with at work. It takes 7 years to get 3 weeks. So I'm just hit 5 years. So we're almost there, I guess. But it's just tough. And then, building the garage and chasing kids around. So,
I mean, you are like a day's drive from Canton. So if you just just called in sick for, a Friday and a Monday, you should be good.
I guess. I mean,
we got Dynasty Dog Mike and our man Rich.
What up, Rich?
Chat.
What up, Rich?
The good news is in a few more years, Finn at the very least is going to start to get to that age where he's going to appreciate seeing the Hall of Fame too. So that'll be awesome. That'll be a fun trip for you guys. So we have that to look forward to. We have a lot going on this week with the Fantasy Football Expo. We have our live Frankenstank draft on the Friday of the Fantasy Football Expo. That's going to be at the Jerseys at Centennial Park. For those of you that don't already know, the Friday night kickoff party is at 6 p.m. at Centennial Park in Canton, Ohio, and we're going to be at the Jerseys that's at that Centennial Park already because we're already going to be drafting. We're going to start our draft right after the poker tournament's done or as soon as everybody that's drafting with us leaves the poker tournament. And so it's going to start somewhere around 4:30. We probably won't get through maybe half of the draft, which kind of stinks, but unfortunately we just couldn't fit it into the busy schedule this year like we have in the past. Uncle Steve unfortunately is not going to be able to make it. So I'm out of nowhere. I see the look on your shocked face there, Mark, but he bought a house and then the closing got pushed back a week, and he was supposed to close last week. So to his credit, he had it set up nicely so that they got everything kind of moved in, and then he could be gone for the weekend where everybody like his wife and his daughter and everybody would have to do all the organizing and putting everything away. He made it so that he could bail out of that part of it. But then it got pushed back. So unfortunately, we will not have the infamous Uncle Steve, but we'll still try to have a good time without him, and we'll definitely drink a beer or two for you, Steve. But then we're gonna have we'll do a live video from Canton like we always do on that Thursday night, maybe that Friday night, depending on how everything goes. And then Saturday night we have our fun day draft. Our fun day draft this week is going to be animals that we wish we were. So we're going to be drafting. I haven't even started my list. I need to get on that. But I definitely have the 101 in my mind. Definitely have the 101 ready. But unfortunately, I don't have the 101. I believe that's going to be our man Rich again. But yeah, so fun day draft on Saturday night, and then I believe we're going to try to do a Sunday night live from Canton as well. So I'm not positive on that one yet either, but I mean, those of you that have been to Canton or you've seen our shows in the past live from Canton, we just got to be fluid. We're going to get out as much content as we can from the expo, but for tonight, it's about the mini mock. Do have a little bit of news to go over real quick. The Brandon Ayuk news. The big news is that there still is no news. He's still showing up to camp, but still wanting a trade, and the Niners just still are not signing him. Somebody else did type in here, Pats and Browns have a framework in place. I did hear the Pats rumor. The Browns rumor kind of makes sense as well. I could see that being a decent fit. But yeah, so do we think it's going to happen? Do we think they're going to get pull off a trade, or like, are they going to pay enough to get him?
Well, I think that's the biggest thing is the paying portion of it, because from what I read, that the Browns and the Patriots had the trade framework in place, like 49ers already agreed to it, but now it comes down to like if they could negotiate a contract with Ayuk or not. So depending on what he wants, if he wants over $30 million a year, I don't know if they're going to give him that kind of deal. So
I don't know. Where do the Browns have? I don't even know how the Browns have any money to spend.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots don't. They're paying a handful of guys. I guess Ramondre got paid, and then a guy on the defensive line, I just forgot his name. And a couple other guys. But I did see something about Justin's favorite quarterback in Cleveland today had a really, really, really poor day in practice, like having a fit, like he punted the ball once time because he got sacked. He punted the ball away on a deep ball to a guy. The guy had to stop and backtrack like 5 or 10 yards to make the catch because he couldn't get the ball to him. So whatever the Browns again. I mean, that's fine. Just get more weapons so Nick Chubb can have 2,000 yards this year. So whatever.
Yeah, that's what 3 years without football will do to you. And the Browns should have plenty of money if they would just put the Human Predators contract on an Aflac plan where the money for his massages came out of a different account or something.
No, that's not a bad idea.
That would be worth a lot more than the millions that he's making to him anyway.
You should stop on the way to Canton and drop a little note in their mailbox. Give them a little heads up. They might, give you a free jersey or something for that good. That's a good idea.
Actually, you know what? I think I am going to be in Cleveland too, because our man Iceman, I don't know if he's watching right now, but Iceman is flying into Canton. So I don't know if it's going to be me or not. I'm thinking it's probably going to be me because the other guys are going to be busy with the poker tournament. But I think I got to drive up to Cleveland to pick him up from the airport and then try to rush back in time to set up the draft board and get it ready to roll before the draft. So it's going to be crazy busy. I'll tell you that right now. But I grabbed my pen and a paper here because I looked at the next thing on the list. It's another piece of news I put, but then I saw a little comment at the end, so I feel like there's a side bet coming up here. So I wrote in here, no surprise for me, but Justin Fields is still looking really good in practice. Mr. Unlimited is still limited in practice, and Fields may win this job outright. And when I say may win this job, I mean he might win it before week 1. And then somebody immediately after that, I'm assuming it was probably Mark by the grin there, typed in nope, LOL. So and I get why the answer is no. And I get, Russ was there first. Tomlin has a history of being loyal to his players. But he also has a history of having a short leash on his quarterbacks when his quarterbacks suck. Like after Roethlisberger left, they went through a lot of quarterbacks and they weren't always injured. So I kind of feel like, and I've said this before, and Nate didn't agree with me because he's a noted Packers fan and Bears hater, but
Whoa.
Fields is a lot better than the Fields that we saw with Chicago. And I think with this offense, I think that we're going to see a much better Fields, and I think that Fields at this point in their career is better than Russell Wilson. So my bet is that Russell Wilson is not the starter come week 1. It's going to be Fields. Who wants to go up against me on that one?
I mean, Kenny Pickett might be better than Russell Wilson at this point. He's not even on the roster anymore.
I mean, Russell Wilson didn't have that bad of a year last year if you actually look at the numbers.
Russ stinks.
He's not that bad. And that pains me to say it because I hated Russell Wilson his whole career. So the fact that I have to defend him has to say something.
You can defend him. I'm not. I think he stinks, but I don't think I don't know if like Justin said about Tom. I mean, if Russ is hurt, I just have a hard time believing that they'd put Fields in there. But hey, I've been wrong way more than I've been right. So
yeah.
The one thing I will say about Fields, and this isn't just Justin Fields, but of course we all know everybody looks bigger, faster, stronger, better than they ever have in training camp. I mean, that's normal. But throughout the year, whether it's training camp or not, when the quarterback in practice, everything goes right for the most part. They run this play, it goes right. It's like they know, what you're going against. So everything goes right, and there's the way it's still going, everything's good. Well, then when it comes to game time and things aren't like they were in practice, that's when he will struggle. You know what I mean? When it's different, he's got, the reads aren't there like they should be, or something's screwed up or something's different. That's when things get tough. And that's not just Justin Fields. That's a lot of quarterbacks, where things are great in practice because it's how it's supposed to be. This is what it is. This is what it is. And it's not like that on Sundays. So yeah, that's just kind of what I think.
And I think what it comes down to too is would Justin Fields be a better quarterback for fantasy football? Absolutely, but he's not going to be a better quarterback for the Steelers. It's just the only way I see him getting the starting job for the Steelers is if Russell Wilson gets hurt, or they absolutely tank out of the gate and go like 0-6. And I just don't, with the Steelers roster and their defense, I don't see that possible.
Yeah, and I disagree. I think he's a better quarterback for the Steelers. But I also really like Rich and Steve right now because they agree with me. So I'm outnumbered here, so I'm glad they're chiming in. It's 3-2 now. Rich wants in on the side bet too. He's on the Justin side with me. So I got you down. And then the next bit of news here, we have the Titans are in the news. They signed the free agent safety Quandre Diggs to a 1-year deal, joining Jamal Adams, Amani Hooker, and Mike Brown in that safety room. And that's not even the most impressive room on that defense. They are slowly and quietly building a very impressive defense in Tennessee. I say this for those of you, this is fantasy centric. So I say this to those of you that play fantasy football with team defenses. If you're one of those teams, one of those guys that like to stream defenses, this might be a good defense to kind of take in that last round. Nobody else, it's not really on a lot of people's target range right now. And I'm telling you, I know Houston's going to be a tough matchup for them twice, right? Jacksonville, it depends on which Trevor Lawrence shows up, but we have to assume that he's going to be another year better. That offense is going to be another year better. Anthony Richardson is what it is. They'll probably play them at least once early while he's still playing. So they're going to have some tough matchups. But for the most part, the Titans don't have a first place schedule, so they're not going to necessarily have difficult schedule, so they're going to be a good streaming defense. So I'm just throwing that out there as a sleeper out there for those of you that like streaming defenses. Also, there's not a lot of news this week, so I threw it out there. So kind of saw an eye roll from Nate. Am I wrong about that?
I just, the whole Jamal Adams thing, in my opinion, is blown out of proportion. I think he's a bottom 50 linebacker in the NFL. And yes, I'm calling him a linebacker because he sucks in coverage. That dude, he can't cover anything. Like, I mean, if he's on the field, he better be blitzing because that's all he can do. But like, I do like the rest of their defense. I mean, I think they'll be good. I think that AFC South is going to be fun. I think it's kind of, I mean, I know everybody thinks, like CJ Stroud and this, that, and the other, the Texans, but I mean, that division to me is kind of up for grabs just because I think all of the teams have gotten better, in the offseason, I think. So, yeah,
it's Avondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Arden Key. You still have Harold Landry there. They got Awuzie. L'Jarius Sneed now. So, that defense really is just looking really like sneaky good.
We'll see. I don't know, and I can't remember who the defensive coordinator is now. I should know that, but I don't. But I'm just curious how that team's going to look as a whole with, new coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, are they going to be a sneaky team overall? Just because if we expect the defense to be good, and we were talking last time about how Will Levis could break out, he's going to be throwing the ball a lot. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think they're going to be competitors in the AFC South for sure, but I just think that the Texans are just that much better right now. But I mean, maybe a wild card for sure. Denard Wilson is the guy you're looking for as the defensive coordinator for the Titans now. So, So I mean, new to the Titans, obviously, with that whole new coaching regime there. So, first full week of preseason is this weekend. I don't know about you guys. The one game I'm looking forward to is the Giants game. They're playing the Lions. And the only reason I'm looking forward to it is that because there was a scuffle in there. Some of the teams sometimes this time of the year will have team versus team practices all week before this first preseason game, and they've been practicing against each other all week. And they've had a scuffle recently that even Daniel Jones was involved in. When they asked him about it, he was like, "Hey, you got to stand up for your guys." So reports say that he threw 17 punches and landed 2 of them.
How many got picked off?
A bad joke. Yeah. A couple of them were caught in midair. They drug him back to the house. First ever pick 6 without a football.
Hell yeah.
Titans 8-9. That's very potentially a wild card team right there. You finish 8-9, it's at least close. I know the AFC is a little tougher, so you probably need 9 or 10, but that's pretty close right there. So that's the only reason I'm looking forward to that one preseason game, and I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to wait and see if something happens afterward and watch the news on it. I already talked about the Frankenstank draft, so we are ready for our draft now. So let me pull up the – go ahead.
I wonder if Malik Neighbors is going to get his head knocked off for being a dipshit. Sorry, I swore again, at practice today. Or it was today when he punched that dude in the face, and that's what started the brawl. Like, what is he doing?
He's being a rookie.
He's being dumb.
Being a rookie. All right. So rules are simple on this one, just like the last 2 weeks. For those of you that have watched, we are drafting 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 5 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends from this group of players right here, which are the quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends from the AFC West and the NFC West. Only from those teams. And believe it or not, Mark, I know I promised you that you would have the first pick, but I still did the random wheel spinner just to see what would happen. And you did actually, this is the actual order that it popped up in. So Mark is first, Nate is second, and then I am last in this one. I think there's a pretty clear cut and obvious 101 in this one, but we'll see if Mark screws it up with his first opportunity to have the 101.
I see what you did here. You finally give me the 101 and force me to take a division rival player and with my overall pick. I'm on to your games. It's obviously CMC.
Oh, I forgot to color code these, but yeah. So CMC, yes, that is the obvious 101 that I was thinking. earlier. So
Mark's such a closet 49ers fan.
Yeah, you can tell.
Stop it.
Oh God, I hate the 49ers.
Yeah.
They've ripped my heart out too many times. It's gonna change though. I mean, I guess I'm giving Pat Mahomes. I guess I'll start off with the quarterback again. I was gonna try something different, but I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of good guys there, but I'll just go with old Steady Eddie.
Yeah, if he's leaving them for you. Let's see. So we know that Mark is not going to take Stafford because he hates the Rams now. So
he's going all Niners. All Niners.
Not a whole lot of super impressive guys that really pop out and stand out at the running back spot after CMC. It's that well runs dry pretty quickly. There are some guys that, I kind of want to have on my roster, but I think I can let that position slip just a bit and try to get the top wide receiver. Now, this one's kind of tough because for the most part, most of the teams are not very good at wide receiver. They're not very stacked or crazy good at wide receiver. So I feel like you can kind of get above the rim on some of these. And he's a guy that I can't quit, and he's a guy that I love no matter what. And he paid off huge dividends for me last year, getting him cheap and early. And I know he's the number 2 technically on his own team, but I think that Puka is going to have a more consistent run this season. I do think he takes a drop from last season. Don't get me wrong. There's no way that he has that kind of a season 2 years in a row with a healthy Cooper Kupp. And I still think there's even an opportunity for Cooper Kupp to still outscore him again this year, which is very possible and likely. But I think it's going to be close enough. And given that this is a overall points on the full season, I don't think there's going to be enough of a difference to may as well take the guy that I'm wanting to root for. And then at tight end, again, there's a clear-cut top end, heavy loaded 101. And I think there's a pretty solid distance between that and the 102 and 103 at tight end. So I'm going to take Travis Kelce.
Come on. Yep, I think you did it right. I'm pretty excited to see how Puka does as well in year 2. And I don't know, the Rams didn't score as well as they had previously, but like I said, Puka still had a great year. I mean, it's like average points per game. We're down. Oh, I did see. I was looking this up. Sorry, because Rich at 8-9 for the Titans. Their win total on DraftKings is 6.5. So if they go 8-9, that's very good. Because Vegas is generally not wrong. So 6.5 wins is what Las Vegas thinks for.
No, they're wrong this time. I agree with Rich.
I mean, I'm not saying
make that bet.
I think over. I would take the over myself, but I'm just saying that's where they're at. So. Anyways, not to keep rambling on, I will go with I had a guy in mind, I just forgot. I'll go why not give me Debo? Sure. Especially if Ayuk's actually gone. That helps even more.
I'll give you Debo, and you answer this question while Mark's thinking about his next pick.
Probably under that. That's a lot of yards.
That is a lot of yards.
That's a lot of yards. I mean, that'd be cool because I got him on a couple fantasy teams, so I'd love to say over. But man, I try to think who led the league in yards last year. Where they even were at.
Yeah, we may as well throw in 18 touchdowns.
Holy smokes!
All right, Mark, you got the back-to-back here. You started off with the clear-cut 101. What's your move now?
I just want to make sure we don't have any – we're not playing like this is a strict division draft. Like if Ayuk gets traded, like he's out of the pool.
No, this is
okay.
You're going to keep him. Whatever we draft, you get. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to do all the work.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with Kupp here. And what I think it's almost – I almost think it's the opposite of what you were saying with Puka, where I think Puka actually has the chance to be more boom, have more bigger weeks than Kupp does. But I think Kupp's going to be more consistent throughout the whole season if he stays healthy. So,
do you still think they're going to be relatively close overall?
I do. I do. I think, yeah, because I think Puka's going to have some very big weeks that are going to make up for the weeks that he just fades away with Cooper's production.
Yeah, because if you did let him slip and he got back, I was going to take both of them.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, now this is where the game begins.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we just have to draft so many receivers.
By the way, speaking of over under, Puka Nacua is at 1150 on DraftKings, and
So-
Cooper Cup's at 950, 200 yards lower.
So let me ask you: is you said that's DraftKings?
Yeah.
Is that the site where you can custom the bet and tweak it so that maybe you take the line up to 1200 and then still place the bet and you get better odds?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can do it on. It won't let me do it on. I could probably look a little closer. You could for win totals. You can like team win totals. It had 6.5 was what they have it on. You can go down to 4.5 and you can go all the way up to like 10.5, and it makes your odds longer or whatever. But I'm sure you can look a little harder. Sometimes you can, some of them you can look around a little harder. This is just on like the receiving yard player stat page. There's a monster list of guys. So.
Yeah, Steve agrees with us that Vegas is wrong about the Titans, but in the other way, he thinks they only get 4 wins. That's a total Homer Colts fan right there. And then, actually, I think he does legitimately not like Will Levis too, so maybe that is a legitimate thing for him. But Rich said he meant to hit 1150, so that's a little closer.
That's Vegas. That's DraftKings. Gosh darn, I don't know. I mean. It is. You almost think it's like you do it because it was the same thing with Cooper Kupp 2 years ago, and it's the same thing with Travis Kelce. They know that's where you're throwing the football, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think he gets 1150.
Yeah.
I think it'll be close, but I think he gets 1150. All right, what's your next pick?
So I was gonna go receiver because we need so many of them, and there's not a lot. But I mean, there's even worse at tight end, and I got to get one of them. So I'm gonna take McBride. He's my number 2 tight end here. So
yeah. Yep, I like it. All right, Nate. So far, I'd say we've gone pretty chalk here for the most part through these 7 picks. So let's see if Nate can screw it up.
That's what I'm going for. Man, I don't know what running back I want. I know who I want, but I don't know if that's the right pick. It probably isn't. Give me. I'll take Devontae. That's my guy. I still love him.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's not horrible. He's going to get 1,000 yards. He's going to get 8 or 10 touchdowns. Like no matter who
the guard dog is going to hook him up. Guard dog's going to be lighting up with Devontae.
Threw me off. I was like, "What running back is Devontae?" You were talking all running back.
Yeah, you better draft your guard dog if you talk him up all the time. He'll be there.
I love that guy. I love him.
I don't know which round you're taking him, but he'll be there. I promise. But all right, I think I'm going to do something a little bit different compared to the other drafts that I've done here. And I'm going to try to put a little bit of pressure on the quarterback position. I think for fantasy purposes and being somewhat of a rushing quarterback, and then also he's been looking good in camp. They say that he's feeling better. He's making all the right moves. So I'm going to go with Kyler Murray. I think he has a big bounce back year this year as my QB1. And then I'm going to take Justin Herbert just to really tighten up the grips and hope that Nate takes a quarterback here. And then Mark is stuck taking like 2 Raiders quarterbacks and deciding which one is going to start. Because we know he's not taking his Matthew Stafford.
Please, Nate, do take your quarterback so I don't have to wait.
Well, I thought about it. You know what? I don't want – gosh darn it. Give me Kyron Williams. I don't feel good about that, but whatever. Just do it.
You can't feel bad about it. I think it's a decent pick.
Yeah,
I know, but I just know if I'm sold on him or not. I feel like Blake Corum's going to take more.
Corum's definitely going to get some work, but Kyron will be fine.
And you get to hurt Mark there because he was probably going to go Kyron real soon.
Well, I was going to go wide receiver last time, and only one of them went off the board. So I'm going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. here.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Yep.
And then,
so far sticking with all NFC West.
Yeah, we're going to change that up right here because I want to put a little pressure on the running back room, and I'm going to go with Pacheco, who I think is going to have a monster year this year.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, oh no, okay. I'm sorry, you said Pacheco?
Yes.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say they think he's going to have a monster year. I don't know. Like he has spurts, like he has big moments where it seems like he's gonna bust out. Like he'll bust out for a real quick 20-yard run, like early in the first quarter, and then about midway through the first, you see another 20-yard catch out of the backfield, and then he finishes the game with 60 yards. It's like, come on.
Yeah, a big sign for me though was they didn't bring McKinnon back.
Yeah. I mean that means he's going to be a lot more active in the passing game for sure.
Yeah.
That's very helpful for fantasy purposes.
I will go ahead and draft DK Metcalf. Why not?
There you go. Draft him so I don't have to.
I had my eye on somebody else, and I was like, fool me once or twice or three times, shame on me, and I was going to let him fool me again. So he'll probably still be there in like 3 rounds, and I'll let him fool me again.
Not completely positive, but I'm pretty sure that's not how the saying goes.
You know what I meant, though. You knew what I meant.
Yeah, I got you. All right, I'll pull the trigger. I'll go ahead and go with Brandon Ayuk, and then if he doesn't get traded and he ends up playing with the 49ers, then I got him at a decent deal. If he does get traded, then he's probably going to a team that needs him and will utilize him. So I probably got him at a decent deal. I mean, either way, I don't see him just not playing football. So really, that's the only way that's a bad pick here. So
let's talk about that real quick. What do you think his fantasy value is if he goes to the Patriots? Does it take a dip, stay the same, or jump up?
I think he definitely takes a dip just because that's where the Patriots, or that's where wide receivers go to die. They just kind of end their careers there. So, I mean, he definitely takes a dip, but I don't think that he is anything like any of the wide receivers that we've seen for the Patriots in, his versatility and his ability to move around the field. I know they have guys at the running back position that they can utilize in the passing game as well, but they don't really have a wide receiver that they can utilize in the running game like that. And Ayuk is probably the best pure wide receiver as well that would be on that team. Hands down would be the number one. So, and would actually be able to do something with it. So, and Jacoby Brissett, for all his faults that everybody likes to give him, like there's no way they're going to ever win a playoff game with the guy. Don't get me wrong, but he has an extremely high winning percentage as a starter, and that's with several teams. And especially if you take away those last 8 games, his last year with the Colts after he had that major leg injury and he still played on it, dude should not have been playing, but they didn't have anybody else to come in. He was already a backup for Luck that year that he retired. So he still plays on that bum leg, was not nearly as good of a quarterback, and took like, I think 4 losses during that 6 or 8 game stretch. And so if you took those away, he's like one of the most winningest percentage-wise quarterbacks, even though his stats are bad. So he's a game manager. He can move the ball is what I'm saying. So if they're moving the ball, they still have the ball. Maybe he's not putting up huge numbers, Brandon Ayuk, but he's going to put up consistent numbers.
Yeah.
Then you get Joe Milton in there to sling it 85 yards downfield.
I would, if he goes there, I would be excited for the future with Drake May. I just don't know how much of that we're going to get this year.
Yeah.
Joe Milton.
But to your point, yes, that is definitely probably worst case for Ayuk. All right. I still see some dark horses there at running back at this point. I've kind of punted the position, so I think I'll wait a little bit longer on there. I can't take another quarterback. We only take 2, so I got that out of the way. So now I'm going to go with and I'm debating between these 2 tight ends. I know that if I don't take another one here, then there's a good chance that probably don't come back because they're probably 2 of the best players left on the board for fantasy reasons. I don't know if I go for the rookie that I think is going to be heavily involved. That's pretty rare at the tight end position, but I think he gets used. I'm talking about Brock Bowers, obviously. I think he gets used in some slot situations as well. Kittle, kind of a history of it getting injured, kind of a history. You know what? He does have a history of letting me down as well. I'm not going to let him let me down in this. I'm going to go ahead and take Bowers. So now I've got both of my tight ends out of the way. I've got both my quarterbacks out of the way. So it's all running back and wide receiver for me from here on out.
I was doing that one we're going to do that one for Rich. Darn it. I'll take.
Don't do that to Javon Baker. Yeah, well, I'm again Patriots wide receiver.
Javon Baker did say he makes people in wheelchairs stand up. He is that electric. So it's a hell of a thing to say. So maybe I don't know. I'll take. I used to call the Brockness monster was not, but that's what I'm calling Brock Purdy now. So yeah, give me him. I'm trying. I just forgot the other guy I used to call the Brockness monster. Who was that for the Texans? Brock Osweiler. That dude that was like 6'9".
Oh yeah,
quarterback.
Well, he was 6'1", but he had an 8-inch long neck.
Yeah, kind of like Skycam Mike Glennon.
All right, so that's 2 quarterbacks for you too. So Mark, you get to wait and take your 2 quarterbacks at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna double tap quarterback here if he didn't take Brock, but Nate, have fun with tight ends. I'll take George Kittle.
That's fine. George Kittle. I love George Kittle, but he doesn't care if he catches 3 balls one week.
But look at that list. You got to start 2 of these guys now.
I'm fine. You'll be fine. He just loves to block and hit people, which I love, but like it makes weeks hard where he doesn't because it's what I mean. He's not like the diva. Like he doesn't care. Like, hey, we won. That's all he cares about. I love George Kittle, but
yeah, how dare he care about winning?
What?
How dare he care about winning?
No, I love that. He
just needs to care about our fantasy teams. All right, Mark. So I like the strategy there. That was a nice move. It will be interesting to see where Nate goes with this. But
I got a plan.
Good news for you, Nate. You get to wait until the end for tight ends. So Mark, you are up, my friend. You need 1 more running back and 3 more wide receivers, and then of course you can wait on your quarterbacks.
Well, man, this hurts because I wanted to draft Corum at the end of the draft, but since you guys are going with the strategy of avoiding running backs, I have to make you pay for it. So I'm going to take Zamir White here.
Nah.
Oh, Zamir White. Okay.
Would you
I
think
thought you were still. Walker? I thought you were going to take Corum, knowing that we were about to start take running backs. So I'm kind of excited now because Corum is a guy that's on my radar here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the biggest Corum homer there is, but we're not drafting him above Zamir White in a draft.
Yeah, and that's your 3rd running back, so we don't have to worry about you taking him now.
I know.
All right, Nate. So you need your 2 tight ends will be at the end. You need 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs.
I'm gonna let it happen again. Give me Javonte. Let's let him hurt me again.
I love it.
They say he's looking good, but they always say that. So whatever.
Looking good. I thought they were talking about he may get cut.
No, the last thing I saw was that like things are good again. Like it's like they're gonna. I don't know. It's hard to believe it, but I can't quit him unless he gets cut. Then I guess I'll have to quit him. But like I said, it seems like he's probably the best one there. He should be the best one there, but the injury hurt him.
He's the worst one there.
No, he's better. He's better than P. Ryan.
I'm the opposite of you. I can't with Javonte Williams anymore. Like I'm just so far out.
Yeah,
we'll not draft him anywhere.
All right. So Mark cannot take another running back, and Nate can only take 1 more. I can. Man, I see running backs out there I really like, though, and I think even if Nate takes one of them, I think I'm still good to go. I think I might have to go with the wide receiver group here, but man, so these wide receivers just aren't going to score huge points. I think by the end of the season, most of them. I do see an opportunity for Rashee Rice possibly to break out here. And of course, I love Lad McConkey. I feel like whichever way I go there, you guys will probably take the other, more likely than not. So I should probably just go ahead and double up on them. So that gives me 4 wide receivers. I need one more. So, Nate, back to you with 2 wide receivers or a running back, or go ahead and get those tight ends out of the way.
I'll take Xavier Worthy.
All right. Excellent.
Let's
you
see
can
what
have
happens.
him. Yeah, you can have that one.
I'm biting. I am. I don't care.
Hey, it's best ball format, so he's going to have big weeks because all Chiefs wide receivers have big weeks from time to time. Let's see. Mark, back to back. Looks like you're going wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
We had a nice little run on wide receivers here before you were up too. Were any of those guys that you were targeting here?
I would have taken Rice. But I also think Hollywood Brown's going to be sneaky good this year, so I'll take him with my first one.
That's fair. And the reason he's going to be sneaky good is because it's not like he's done a whole lot in camp this offseason so far. He's had moments.
And if Herbert's going to do anything this year, he needs Joshua Palmer to step up. So that'll be my next.
Joshua Palmer's listed as the wide receiver 1 for that team. I don't think that anybody really truly believes he is the wide receiver 1, but I don't really know who's going to step up and take it. For me, it's Lad McConkey, obviously, because I took him over Joshua Palmer. I think that rookie steps up in a big way. I think Lad McConkey is actually this year's Puka. Obviously not nearly to the level of breaking rookie records like Puka did, but I'm talking like that wide receiver that's a little bit deeper in drafts that people aren't thinking a whole lot about in redraft formats anyway. It's going to kind of come out of nowhere and be a huge contributor for your fantasy team. So, but right now it's Palmer listed as the number 1, and you're right. Somebody's got to catch him.
Oh yeah. Give me Kenny Walker.
Damn. Nah. All right. So that was the top of the 3 running backs that I was considering, and I almost took him there, but I'm glad I didn't because I would have missed out on Rashee Rice, as Mark just noted. So I think I'd rather have Rashee Rice as my wide receiver 4 than I would Kenny Walker here. So that means I get James Conner. He's the last of the starting running backs from the looks of it. You guys each already have
J.K. Dobbins. He's starter.
Yeah, well, I might have to take Dobbins and Gus Edwards here, but you guys each already have all 3 of your. I already put it on the board, so I'm stuck with it. But I didn't think to look at the strategy first. Oh, I guess it doesn't matter because I'll take my 5th wide receiver here, and it still would have been about the same. So, I don't want to talk this one out because I don't want to give away some table talk because there's a couple guys I kind of want to see go as free agents that aren't taken here. You guys both need a wide receiver. So let's go. I'm going to go with Marvin Mims because I think that they're going to find a way to use him in the kickoff return game. And like I said, the last couple of weeks, we still don't know for sure if we're going to have kickoff return points or not. So this might just be kind of a wasted pick. I think he'll get involved in the offense from time to time, but if we do have points for kickoff returns, that could be a sneaky good pick there. So, Nate, you need what do you need? 1 wide receiver and 2 tight ends.
Yep. I don't know what receiver I want.
You can take one of the 17 Chiefs wide receivers that are still out there.
Yeah, right. You know, some things were good last year you watched, but I struggle. I don't. Give me Zay Jones. Yep, out of left field. I like speed. Take top off the defense. That's all I want. Big plays, best ball. So.
All right, fair enough. Mark, you need your 2 quarterbacks and 1 wide receiver.
I mean, since he fell this far, I'm going to take JSN as my last receiver.
I mean, I've heard a lot of good talk about.
I mean,
a lot of
everybody
people
hypes
think
him up, yeah, you're right. Everybody thinks he's going to have a breakout year this year. I'm not 100% convinced, but I mean, looking at what else is on the table, I think he has the highest upside. So,
yeah, and even if he just does what he did last year, like he's your number 5 wide receiver. I mean, that's pretty decent value right there. Zay Jones has been building some chemistry too. Yep, absolutely. And this is one of those wide receivers that I didn't want to talk about. I didn't want to table talk and try to give it away. Michael Wilson, I think, is a solid sleeper wide receiver as well. They've got him listed as the wide receiver too. He'll be on the other side of Marvin Harrison Jr. And like I said, I think Kyler Murray has a huge bounce back season. So if that's the case, he's going to need more than just Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey, the tight end, to come out and perform for him. So I think that Michael Wilson will step up in a big way as well, for sure. All right, Mark, let's see these big QB boys.
Before I take that, the one I was going to say, I could see it being a sleeper at receiver this year if Denver gets any kind of quarterback play, is Josh Reynolds.
Hell yeah,
get them bums out of
my
yeah. Get them out of here. Get them out of here. Stafford, obviously.
Yeah. No, who were you saying though? Well, I was trying to goof off. Who was it that you were?
Josh Reynolds for the Broncos.
Reynolds.
If the Broncos can have anything going at quarterback, I think he has promise to have a good year. Just because there's lack of guys there. You got Cortland Sutton and what else?
Yeah, and even in this format, it's still never Sutton, guys.
Give me the monster tight end, Tyler Higbee.
Yeah, well, that's about the best that's left, I guess.
Oh yeah, be all right.
Close.
There's your 2.5 points per game.
Yep.
Till Colby Parkinson takes it all this year.
Yeah, that's what's gonna happen.
All right, man. So I'm trying to debate on if I want to go. It's a risky move to take J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards at this point. I know Edwards is the starter. I think Dobbins is going to take over, but how long does he stay healthy? Do they end up just in a true split backfield? Or do I take some of these guys like Blake Corum or Audric Estime or Trey Benson? Dylan Labe's having a great camp. Any one of those guys could potentially break out as a rookie and have a great season. I hate Clyde Edwards-Helaire with everything in me. So, this sounds insane to take him, but I'm going to go with Dylan Labe. I think there's real potential there for him to make some noise early and often in that offense. And if there's just even one injury ahead of him, I think that he could potentially be a top 10 fantasy running back every week after that happens. I was so tempted to take Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Man, Dobbins is one of those guys I can't quit. I love the guy. I have him everywhere all the time. That injury, though, was rough. Gus Edwards scores touchdowns. That boy can score some touchdowns. Still like Blake Corum. Man, I almost want to just kind of defer and wait and pick it at the end so I have more time to think about it, but I don't think you guys are going to let me do that. What's that?
Just take Blake and enjoy the rewards.
Yeah, and I'm sure I will. Man. But whichever one of these two actually do get the starting spot is definitely going to outscore Blake Corum, I think. So that's the gamble, right? I think the safer bet, the safer floor bet is Corum. All right, I'm going J.K. Dobbins. Yep, taking the risk.
Oh man,
I will let him bite me again.
he's bitten so many people. Like the amount of injuries he had, and last year when he got so animated and angry at the media for questioning his health, and he was, oh, I'm 100% healthy. Wait till I get out there, and then he tears it again, and it's like,
Yeah.
I just
Yeah. All right. Nate, what do you have left? You have your number 2 tight end. This will be good. And you don't have to choose somebody on this list. If there's another tight end out there in the AFC or NFC West that you think has an opportunity, you're welcome to. Oh, where did Nate go?
Oh, we lost him. He saw the tight ends and we're like, nope, I'm gone.
Let's see. He said, "I'm sorry I had to run. I said to give me Disley." Okay. Yeah, he said he put that. Yeah, he put it in the private chat. All right. Cool. So tight end Disley. That I think he just kind of threw a dart at the wall on his way out. But Will Disley. Mark, you get to wrap things up with your number 2 QB here.
Is Rich still in here? Can we ask him why his team hasn't chosen a quarterback yet? Because of that, I have to take this shitbag and Geno Smith, and I'm not happy about it.
It's because of the old adage where if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. So they're still trying to figure it out. I mean, personally, I think it's going to be Minshew, and I don't even really like the guy for actual football purposes. But I do think that he wins the spot, and I think that he's going to be the better option for fantasy out of the 2 too. So, I mean, if I'm going to take a Raider, I would take Minshew personally.
I would too, but I feel like with their coach and what he was trying to build last year, he might lean towards the guy who was already there, unless Minshew absolutely shows out in the next couple weeks. I can't risk not having a quarterback, so I'm going to have Geno Smith. And I hate it.
He says he can give us an answer, but he needs to speak it.
Okay.
Are you saying you need to come on? Because I can send you the link. Let me see. Copy. I'm going to send it to the Discord, my man. Possible potential special guest appearance from the
don't make my pick yet.
Bandita.
I'll give Rich a chance to convince me.
All right. If anybody can convince you, it's a guy that sells Frito-Lays for a living. I'm just kidding. That shit sells itself. I sent you the link in Discord. Looks like I got the green light on, so he's seeing it. He should be in any minute. Personally, I think Sam Howell takes that starting spot by midseason. I'd say probably by about week 8 at the latest. So
I mean, he very well could, but I don't know. They suck. Seattle sucks.
So speaking of the Discord, guys, we do have a Discord channel. So reach out to us at JustinFF_ or at Toyless of Titles or at Wicked_Dynasty, and we can get you set up in our Discord channel. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend, the Frito Bandito. All right, we are talking. We're talking NFC and AFC West. We have a mock draft going on here, and there's a debate between your Raider quarterbacks. And he didn't even have to go get changed, guys, because I've seen his wardrobe at Canton. He shows up, he fills his closet, and every single shirt is Raiders. I like even his business shirts. I guarantee you he's got Fritos right here, and then just below it is a Raiders logo. So what's going on, Rich?
Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Speak the truth. Hey, what's up, guys, man? Hey, so I'm gonna put it this way, Mark. Okay, I look this. I know I'm gonna be a homer. People are gonna say I'm a homer for saying this and stuff like that, but look how good this defense is. It has the potential to be. Now it's a lot to wait and see and stuff like that. But we have put together a good defense, and the fact that Minshew has not taken the starting position from O'Connell yet just tells me he shouldn't be the starting position anyways and stuff like that. Because look, these two quarterbacks are competing against a stout defense that's going to really show the NFL this year on why they didn't make that decision so quick. It's going to be a hard decision for them to make. Why don't you go with the young rookie and stuff like that? Look, he showed what he could do in this offense at the end of the year. Look, it might not be pretty. Start him out and stuff like that. But he's getting sharpened by his tough defense that is going to prove to everybody else and stuff like that. And I know what everybody's going to say. This is Homer speaking right here. But look, it is what it is. The facts speaks facts.
I mean, so to speak to your truth, the Raiders defense, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, Malcolm Kuntz, Divine Diablo, he showed some real promise last season. Robert Spillane, Marcus Epps, you got Nate Hobbs in the nickel back. Like, I definitely can see where you're going with that for sure. That defense can help get them some better field position than we've seen Raider quarterbacks have in the more recent past for sure. So there's something to that. I mean, I don't know though, man. Aiden O'Connell just did not impress me last season at all. But I also,
Would we be talking about him differently if he was drafted in the first round?
No, because he still didn't impress me last year. As a matter of fact,
he was the second best rookie QB last year.
Well, he had more playing time than most quarterbacks last year.
Better than Bryce Young? More time than Bryce Young?
He was better than Bryce Young. Bryce Young was on a much worse team, to your point, but he was definitely better than Bryce Young.
Plus, he didn't have Bryce Young didn't have all the turmoil that O'Connell went through last year too.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just saying. Like I said, look, everybody has their own decisions and stuff, but look, this defense is going to be stout, and that's the reason why they haven't made a decision, because you got two QBs and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying O'Connell's going to go out there and light the world on fire or anything like that, but look, like I said, if Minshew hasn't stolen that job by now, there's a reason why he shouldn't be the QB.
I mean, that's fair.
That's the way I was kind of leaning, because like with the younger head coach, O'Connell's been there. I feel like Minshew would have had to taken the job. And like he's saying, if he hasn't taken it now, means it's extremely close to the point where they're probably going to lean to the guy they're more familiar with. But at the same time, I don't know if he lasts that long if they go that route. So that would be where I'm a little nervous. Like if the Raiders start off slow, are they going to be quick to jump ship and switch to Minshew?
You do have three really bad quarterbacks in Denver that they don't know who's going to start yet, if you want to choose from one of them.
No, I'm going to stick with Geno. I do think, man, I would much rather go with a Raiders quarterback if I knew which one it was going to be.
I would choose Geno too, if you want me to be frank.
Yeah. But I mean, you still had compelling arguments for sure. And at the end of the day, what this is all about is us having these conversations so that people know, because when we get to the end of a 12-team draft, most likely we are trying to figure out who these starters are going to be for our QB2s or our backups or whatever. So it is compelling arguments. I will say this though, because you both sound at least somewhat confident that it's going to be Aiden O'Connell week one. I think it's going to be Gardner Minshew. So should I put that on the board?
Put it on the board. I already made this bet with somebody else.
Yeah, we can put it on the board. I'm not comfortable with it either way. I just think, like Rich said, I think like, why haven't they given him the job if they haven't done it already?
Yeah, I mean, just for the same reason that any team that has two quarterbacks that are somewhat close haven't announced it yet. It's not even quite week one of preseason yet. So for me, that's the answer.
Here's the thing too. You got the defensive captain and you got the offensive captain basically backing O'Connell too, and Crosby and O'Connell and Adams. So, and
they still haven't announced him as the starter. So maybe that also should tell you something.
It's a tough competition, man. That's the way I'm looking at it, man. It's a tough competition.
I guess the way I look at it kind of goes to your point too, Justin. Like you said, Aiden O'Connell was not productive last year. So it should have been very easy for Minshew to come in and just take the job.
But I've also said numerous times, even whenever Minshew Mania was a thing, that Minshew sucks for actual football too. So but I will say this: I think either way, whichever quarterback it is going to have a better season than what we saw a Raiders quarterback last year, because it is a better team. They have put in place some good framework around them. I think losing Jacobs is tough just because, he was such a workhorse and such a stalemate for that running game. But they've replaced them decently. I think that they're still, I don't think they're losing a lot in the running game. And again, I think that Minshew and his running ability does help with that a little bit more than O'Connell, but I wasn't even figuring that in when I was deciding. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog in the background, but he's driving me crazy. He's playing. Can you hear that?
Very vaguely.
Yeah, I think he found a box or something. He's an asshole. But all right. I mean, that completes the draft. But since we've got you on, Frito, let's take a look at some of the guys here on the list. I'll try to blow it up for you.
No, I got you guys on big screen TV. I got you guys on my big screen. I can look at it.
Gotcha. All right. Is there anybody else that stands out? Let's throw out the quarterbacks. I think we've talked enough about the quarterbacks. There's nobody that's drafting Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, or Bo Nix in any fantasy formats until they do officially announce the starter. Although I think personally they should go Bo Nix and just see what they got. But that running back group, this is what gave me a lot of fits. With that last round, I had to choose between J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Audric Estime, Trey Benson, Blake Corum, and I believe that was it. And for dynasty reasons, I could throw in a couple more here, but those were the guys that I had real fits with, because almost all of them are just rookies chomping at the bits that are going to be given an opportunity that I think could potentially do something with it. So, Mark, I know how you feel about Blake Corum. We've talked about him, but Rich, let's hear from you on that list of running backs. Who do you think could or has the best potential to break out there? And did I make a mistake by taking J.K. Dobbins over them?
No, I would have took J.K. Dobbins. I think he has the true potential. It comes down to injury, but it comes down to injury with everybody within this league and stuff. So, I mean, you know what? I'm 50-50 on Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. I would have took Dobbins, and I've took Dobbins in many leagues where I'm drafting late and everything. I mean, I don't know the settings you guys are utilizing to how you guys are going to run this, but I would have went with Dobbins. Trey Benson, I'm kind of surprised. Look, eventually he might take the job, but Connors is the right choice there. Just everybody else, look, it's what if and stuff like that. It's all about towards the end of the season. You guys are doing like best ball format, or how are you guys doing this?
Well, so it is full PPR, but it's just at the end of the season we're doing overall points on the whole season.
Oh, okay.
Whoever had the most wins. So it's not like a weekly best ball. It's just overall into the season. And I did already have James Conner. I took him as my RB1 really late in this draft, which was another reason why I kind of steered away from Trey Benson, because I don't like to necessarily team up my starting running back with their backup. I like to team up my starting running backs with other teams' backups. And then that way, whenever the starter gets hurt, it not only helps my team, but it hurts an opponent that much more. And then if it's my guy who goes down, then I'm just trying to fight to see if the backup is on waivers. And I know it's a little bit riskier, but usually if your starting running backs are getting hurt already, you're already going to be at a deficit, and you're going to need big moves, big trades, whatever, to make that jump. So taking the lesser risk on your running back by getting somebody else's backup ahead of time before the starter goes down, you only take a huge jump if the starter goes down. So if I'm already going to be hurting with my starter going down, I would rather already have that backup in place from the other team's starters going down. So that's kind of my mentality. It's kind of all or nothing at the running back position, which is why I usually go super running back heavy in all redrafts. But with these drafts we've been having, I really haven't. I did take Bijan there. I guess I kind of went running back heavy early on with the South, and then with the East, Brees. I went hero running back, went with Brees, and then took them later. But with this being best ball, it is what it is with running backs. And there are a lot of decent later round running backs than there usually are in redrafts. So, all right, wide receiver, Mark, is there any wide receivers that stand out here? We kind of mentioned a few of them, just while we were talking about the running backs, but anybody that you're kind of surprised wasn't taken?
Surprise, not really. I mean, but like potential, yes. I mentioned Josh Reynolds. I think he could have a big season. If the Raiders can put out a consistent quarterback, I do like Jacoby Myers a lot. I always have. I just feel he doesn't get enough opportunities. And I mean, until we see him completely disappear, like Lockett's still a guy. Like, we'll see what happens, but
Rich, I feel like I'm the only guy on the team that on the shows have consistently been talking up Michael Wilson, but you put Michael Wilson in the chat as well. So help me sell this guy.
Yeah, I mean, look, everybody's going to be focused on Marvin Harrison. Look, Wilson, this is his second year in the same offense. There ain't nothing changed. QB, they're all still there. It's a solid offensive team and stuff like that. He knows the system. I think just a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him and everything. Kyler Murray's been having a good chemistry with him and stuff. I know they're going to feed Harrison and stuff like that, but everybody's going to be sleeping on him. Look, when I draft, I constantly preach this is, look, I look for people that are constantly going to give me 10 to 12 points on a daily week basis and everything when I'm building my squad. Yeah, you want to have 2-3 players that are going to go high, give you higher points, but if you get consistent, if you tell me you can get 12 points out of Michael Wilson every week, are you not signing up for that?
And this is coming from a guy that I have seen in a lot of leagues that is consistently not only in the playoffs, but finishing pretty high. So when Frito speaks, we should listen. But we do have the great Jim Everett in the chat.
Jim Everett, let's go.
Saying that the Rams are going to take the West. So
smart guy right there.
Yeah, that's some great insight if you can get Jim Everett on the show. So Jim, if you're still watching, I can send you a link too. Like, I'm sure Frito will not be too upset to share the stage with the great Jim Everett.
Not at all.
Let's see. What else do we got here? I'm not even going to entertain the tight ends. None of these guys are getting drafted in any of your leagues ever. Although I will say Greg Dulcich is a guy that I was at one point this offseason kind of thinking that this could potentially be the season. Unfortunately, they went out and got Adam Troutman last season, I believe. So now, I mean, I think Dulcich is probably the better tight end there. They got Troutman listed as the tight end one. Unfortunately, there's just not going to be enough goodness in that offense. I'd really love to see Dulcich go to another team though, where he can be utilized better. But yeah, other than talking about him because I like him, there's no way you're drafting any of these guys for any redraft formats.
Now, hold on there. We are a fantasy team here. And we do talk. Hayden Hurst has the potential to be a consistent player in San Diego. I mean, with Los Angeles Chargers. Like I said, they don't got Everett there no more. So he could put up some points. And I know a lot of you guys are in love with Brock Bowers and stuff like that, but Michael Mayer is the number one tight end when it comes to the position on that team. Bowers is going to be 2. He's been practicing with the 2 because he's going to be used more in the slot and stuff like that. And he's going to be that second tight end when they're lining up and everything. So, look, he has the potential to put up some points too and everything. I wouldn't sleep on him because he still is the one that's going to be playing the tight end position on that team. Bowers is going to be in there, but he's going to be playing slot a lot in other positions. So don't sleep on him either.
That's fair. I think your hand might be over your microphone there because it was kind of muffled, but we did catch it. But no, I mean, yeah, sure. I can see that. And I kind of started to make that argument early on too. But again, like, okay, so the way I view these tight ends for fantasy purposes this late, these are guys that you need to score touchdowns if they're going to be fantasy relevant for you. And yeah, Michael Mayer will probably still be involved in 2 tight end sets. He'll probably still even be involved in a lot of 1 tight end sets because I agree with you that they're going to split out Bowers. But even with all that, he's not going to be your red zone target in that offense ever. Not with Bowers on the field, and especially not with Adams on the field. It's going to be very, very difficult to get Michael Mayer very heavily involved in the red zone. They weren't able to do it a whole lot last season when he was the tight end there. So the touchdown upside is what scares me away from Michael Mayer. And when it comes to the other tight end you mentioned, Hayden Hurst, the thing is like he's with the Chargers now, and while he might be the most seasoned and probably the most consistent tight end there, Donald Parham is still there, and Donald Parham played really well. He was a touchdown machine for your tight end teams when you had to stream and you were forced to throw him in there when he got the start, whenever it was out. Parham was an incredible touchdown monster for the Chargers for your streaming tight ends. So I feel like he's still going to get that touchdown opportunity. And then they also have Will Dissly listed as their tight end number 1. There's just a lot of tight ends there in that tight end room. And again, I do think that Hayden Hurst might be your more consistent guy, especially your between the 20s guy. But Hayden Hurst is another one of those guys that never really consistently had huge touchdowns every single year. Like he never had, like, and I say huge for this level of tight end, we're looking for at least 6 to 8 touchdowns to really help your fantasy teams as your tight end too. I just don't see the touchdowns there. They definitely have the ability to play some and get some PPR points for you here and there, but it's just going to be risky, but definitely worth talking about.
So Hayden Hurst was the last guy I was going to say too. I ended up taking him as my Mr. Irrelevant pick in the Scott Fishbowl draft. But I think as far as the other tight ends go, Dissly was purely brought in to be a blocking tight end, I believe. And Parham's just not that great. I had him in a league last year where I had no tight ends, so I had to use him quite a bit in streaming tight ends. He only actually had 4 touchdowns last year. So
was that he had those 4 touchdowns in 2 games, right? So he had like 2 and 2, if I remember right. Yeah. So yeah, that's
the right
fair.
games. Yeah, but
yeah, that's fair for sure.
The only last thing I wanted to talk about, I want to jump back up in the running backs because there were 2 guys I liked there a lot as sleepers. Just to go back to the whole Dobbins, Gus Edwards thing, I think the really sneaky play there is Vidal. I think he's very talented, and if Dobbins is to get hurt and it's just him and Gus Edwards there, I think he could have a good season. And then again, back to my hate on Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, just because there's nobody else there. It's him, McLaughlin, and Williams. I can't see a path where he doesn't carve out carries this year.
Yeah. And Nate, I hope you're still at least able to watch because I feel like I have to say this. I think that Mark and I stole your money tonight. I've got to say, because I'm with you, man. I don't think that Javonte's the answer there. And I do think that Estime has a real opportunity there. And I like his Kyron pick. I think that Kyron's going to overperform ADP. I think obviously Mahomes is a steady Eddie for him. He's got the touchdown machine and the guaranteed 1,000 yards with Devontae Adams. Can't go wrong PPR with Debo and big game potential. So I mean, he has a solid, more solid kind of like starting core there. But if he suffers even one injury, he's kind of in trouble. I don't like that bench at all, where I think we have more potential in our bench for sure. So actually I think Mark, you might have this one, and not just because you got the 101 and you got Christian McCaffrey either, because just looking at your team, I kind of like your team a little bit better than mine as well. The only question mark there is, does Geno finish the season, which I don't think he does. So if he doesn't, then maybe I might be able to stay with you on fantasy points having 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'm going to give Mark my stamp of approval and stuff like that. But I will tell you one thing I'm doing is everywhere I can, last pick I'm making, if he hasn't been taken, I'm taking Sam Howell.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I had him at week 8 at the latest. I actually kind of think it's going to be closer to week 6.
It's just hard to take him in this format knowing he's not starting the season and you're just going to be taking zeros for how long, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
For sure. Yep, absolutely, for sure. So I'm trying to look up the Seahawks schedule here.
Gents, I'm gonna jump off. I was fixing to I'm doing some cooking, so
Right
Nice.
on. Hey,
See you in
appreciate you
Canton,
coming on, man.
hey, I'll see you guys this weekend.
Yep.
Yes, sir. All right, yeah. So what I was looking for is the Seahawks bye week is week 10. So maybe it's a little bit later, but let me see. The start of the season, I mean, they do have an easy schedule right out the gate. They've got the Broncos and then they have the Patriots. So right there should be a couple of wins no matter who's at quarterback. Then they have the Dolphins and the Lions. And then I think the Giants are going to be better than people are giving them credit for, but the Seahawks can beat them. And then San Francisco. So if you start off 3-3 right out the gate, you're not going to lose your job that quickly unless it's an ugly 3-3. Falcons and Buffalo and then the Rams, those are all going to be tough games. So maybe by week 10 then, maybe by the bye week. If he has that run of those 3 tough games right before the bye week and Geno, it doesn't show that he's the Geno of old and he's more of the Geno of the old because it took him 47 years to actually hit his prime, and then he had one really good season, and then now he's back to being Geno again. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I think eventually he does lose that spot. But
the only other thing I was going to say, we were talking about Kyren, how Kyren's going to be fine, and I think he's going to be fine. The only worry I have with Kyren is where they're going to utilize Corum, and it's going to come down to where they decide to utilize them. And Corum can find the end zone like no other. Yep. And if he ends up taking away touchdowns from Kyren, I don't think we're looking at the top 5 running back we saw last year. Right. I think he's still going to be like in your top 10, but I think he had 12 or 13 touchdowns last year. So if he loses a decent chunk of those, I think he could have a little bit of a drop.
Yeah, no, I will say, though, I do think that the NFL defenses he's going to face are a little bit better than what he saw in the Big Ten. And especially, since it was Michigan, those off-conference games against Underwater Basket Weaving University,
No, I mean, I get it, and I get how it sounds like I'm being a homer, but I watched every game he's played, and he just has a unique ability to, like, squeeze his body down smaller than he already is and find holes that most people can't find.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm giving you a hard time. You know that I'm also on him. And again, I almost drafted him over J.K. Dobbins. So, but yeah, I think that's it for this show. I think I'm going to wrap it up. We're at an hour 17, and I've got a big day tomorrow. So we need to wrap this up and call it a show. But again, find us at Canton, guys. We're going to have a couple of booths there. We have our booth, and then we also have the Genesis Card Breaks booth that we're splitting with him. So we're going to have our Frankenstank draft board there. The live draft board will be at the booth. And who knows, maybe throughout the course of the weekend, the guys that are doing the live draft, maybe I can still get them to add their next pick if they're up next from time to time as we see them over the weekend. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But Frankenstank live draft Friday, right around 4 p.m.-ish, most likely, live at the Jerseys. I'm probably going to live stream that draft as well, like we did last year. So, I mean, we're looking at probably four live drafts, or I mean, live streams while we're gone between Thursday night and Sunday night. So, look out for it, and we're looking forward to it. So, for Nate. For Mark, I'm Justin. Thanks again for tuning in. You all have a great night.